We've heard, does Adrian consider that taking all those circumstances into account and the things that have been debated tonight, it is still right to have sent members of this authority with officers to the LGA, or to agree to send them to the LGA?
Well, as we'd always expect to be, that was a very sensible and well thoughtful question. And what it boils down to is a matter of your judgment, whether you agree or not. And the position is that I don't agree with that, but I do appreciate the very sensible way in which you at least put your question. Thank you for that.
No comments.
Thank you. You've reiterated a few times that we all knew about the LGA conference, and it was 6 times, and so it's not a surprise. Well, so did you.
It's an ambulance.
Well, yeah, we all know that. And you've said this a few times tonight. So why didn't you make sure that the training committee, or why wasn't it made sure that the training committee looked at this earlier, so that the council's processes could be got through before the money was paid? I mean, it is your watch.
Well, I remember the experience we had on that when this got over.
You're watching it.
The position there is very simple. I know you're trying to lead me, but the very fact is we have first-class professional officers who will have given to the steering group their advice. The steering group will have known exactly what they were doing, and your members on the steering group were fully apprised of everything involved, and they made their decision along with the others.
No, and it's not about making decisions, it's about when it was made. These decisions should have been made earlier, so that the calling could have been carried through before any payment was made.
Can I make a point which is relevant to what Councillor Fraser just said? The decision was signed by Adrian on the 3rd of June, so presumably it went to the steering group some few days before that. We didn't have the administration, we didn't know what the administration was going to be till 17th or 18th of May. So, I mean, there's your answer.
I was asking you a question, actually.
I'm not asking you any question, I'm trying to be helpful in this.
Here's the form, completely blank. That's what went. Completely blank form.
No, I'm trying to help you.
I don't need your help.
I think what Councillor Fraser is driving at is why don't I, before I make any delegated decisions, go into the whole business of getting the accounts before me and research it before people whose job it is to provide me with a request and themselves. You know, I'm sorry, Councillor Fraser, I can see why you're trying to lead me because there's something you want to get pamphlet that you put over your website, but I'm not going there.
Understand the accommodation costs that have been approved for the conference. The same reasoning behind what the conference itself is that being applied to.
This is about accommodation, is it?
I think it's all about buying money.
Well,
in your opinion, Pat, was attending the LGA conference, and I was using the paperwork in the background, and does it add value to your work?
In my opinion, I think it's entirely reasonable and sensible and proper that a management team from whichever party it has to be at the time goes to representing Wirral for example to the LGA.
Thanks, and I'm sorry to say my question could be slightly longer than Ron's. I'm looking to find out if the member steering group identifies what they're looking for in different training opportunities. So, say for in conferences, and there's a major one going on in Liverpool, an international conference at the moment, I think in gynecology and obstetrics taking place in the Liverpool arena at the moment. And I know there's delegates come from America and already medical gynecologists, as the name implies. And I would assume that when you're looking at the different training opportunities that are available, you look at, for example, there's the opportunity for discussion with ministers, learning from good practice elsewhere, and networking and sharing what works in other places. Is that the kind of thing that you look at? Is that the kind of thing that you would expect people to get if they were attending, as obviously the gynecologists and obstetric doctors expect to get when they're attending one? Is that the kind of training opportunity you see that, as opposed to sitting in a room and having an in-house workshop or whatever?
Well, anyone who completes a training application form has to put on the training application form what benefit they think they personally will get from attending a conference or a training opportunity, and what benefit they think it will bring to the people that they will represent, or council as a whole, and if there is room for consideration of whether their reasons properly reflect what the conference or the training opportunity seems to be offering. That's discussed, which is why I was saying that it's got a very brief example here, which is recently Councillor Leach and I requested training at Trafford Hall on community engagement. The cost was £50 for the first delegate and £20 for the second for a 2-day course. Following our submission, OD staff got in touch to say there was in-house training coming up later in the summer which covered some of the same ground and could be modified in light of requests from members. Concurrently, Councillor Gilchrist had also looked at the request and had some concern that elected members would not be considered to be community activists for the purposes of the training, and therefore there may be a possibility that it would be more expensive. Mostly in the light of the in-house training, but also to allay Councillor Gilchrist's concerns, we decided not to pursue the Trafford Hall training request further. There was a very slight breakdown in communication as a result of a member of staff having been off, which was soon cleared up. And the point I'm making is there is no question that Conservatives and their Dems are facing trying to defend their community from spendthrift, irresponsible and intransigent Labour members. There is a perfectly sensible, functioning framework in place to assess and decide on what
Just to come back to the discussions that took place, did anybody actually say what the likely total cost of attending the conference was going to be?
The cost delegates, I think, was mentioned, yes, so it was not the full
So
total.
nobody actually worked out, nobody said this is £300.
I couldn't work that out for myself. It was five.
And did anybody ask the question as to how the number of people who were attending this year compared to the number of people who were attending in previous years?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a few questions. You said to Moira that the members filled out forms, that's the process that we go through. Pro forma, yeah. Well, the thing is, they didn't
it's the Local Government Association Annual Conference, and notwithstanding the fact that it's Sir Tickle, his name is, who chairs it at the moment, I think it's entirely sensible and reasonable that the administration, its representatives, attend the annual local conference.
That's not the question. The question was, you reiterated to Moira that the members filled forward that was the process, but they were just informing. So how did you make a decision? I mean, you didn't look at any forms because there's no forms to look at. So
I didn't right, yes.
Oh,
It
so
was
you
a
just
form
don't do
filled
it.
in for the leader, the two deputy leaders, and leaders of the other political parties, and I thought, do I need them to tell me why they are the Government Association Annual Conference? No, I didn't need them. I thought it was entirely sensible and reasonable that they were going to go. I have to say, at the same time I thought, I bet the Conservative group can complain about this, and you haven't let me down.
So you didn't follow the process. Right.
Well, listen, Councillor Fraser, if that's what you're going to say to me, then it explains why Councillor Clements and Councillor Hornby aren't here.
Well, that's the last one. My next question is, can you explain the process? You know, how, as a member of that committee, what is supposed to happen when a councillor wants to go to a training event or a conference or anything like that?
Actually, just read out exactly what happened.
Well, why didn't you do it? You know the process.
I've explained to you why I didn't do it. I decided that it would be wasting my time and everybody else's to ask the leader to explain to me why he should go to the Local Government Association annual conference. And to be honest with you, I think it is wasting Wirral Borough Council's officers and members' time sitting here tonight. And this has got nothing to do with wasting Wirral constituents and residents' money. This has got everything to do with manufacturing a political base bandism.
So can I finish my question then? So my answer to that is that I think the waste of time is the time that the officers have spent putting these policies and procedures together that aren't being followed. When
But they are being followed.
Well, they're not. You just said they weren't.
Well, I've just said to you that I haven't wasted my time all the leaders' time asking him why he wants to go to my annual conference. Every other occasion, I've asked and seen the form.
Well, perhaps next time.
I've answered your question, Councillor Fraser, 3 times now.
The call in is around the value for money aspects of the training conference. So I think the questions need to be brief answers to that question.
Well, to get the value of money, you should follow the process that's set in place. It's obviously
I think that's the same. There's issues with process, and I'm sure that's how easy it is. To
just started a few weeks at the party, so I was going to be a delegate, and things would change halfway through. So there is an audit trail, of course, but the audit trail, and you've been asking the person who actually made the decision, is cabinet. Cabinet made decisions on the advice of committees. Now, I don't know what sort of audit trail you would want in terms of the discussion and so on. I don't think life is quite like that. think where we are, I felt it was absolutely vital last year that various issues were heard, both publicly, although obviously information was gleaned publicly and so on, but also we met many people that would help us as a council to see a way forward in terms of the issues that were facing us. And I think that it was absolutely vital. Now, I don't know where you place absolutely vital in the scale of things, you know, but I also feel that this year, obviously I'm not involved, but I think it's vital, for example, that the leader of the council is able to go at the moment because of the particular issues still facing us. Let's leave aside the national issues. We've had local issues, as you may have noticed, and those were the issues we're focusing upon. Now, you know, when we can say everything is being, you know, dealt with, then fine. But I think, you know, we have got time next year. If people really feel that we should be effectively leaving the Local Government Association, then the debate can be had in a structured way over the coming months. And it would be sensible now to say, well, let's go next year and then have a debate. I mean, it's putting, I don't think it's very helpful to actually have a debate now when people have made the domestic arrangements, presumably, and got time off and so on, if they're working or whatever they're doing, clear the diaries, in other words. I don't think it's very helpful to do it now when, as been said, we knew that this was going to happen last year. We knew it 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So, you know, this is a debate. Yeah, we need to have these issues discussed.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Again, I'd like to remind members the questions we answer the procedures and administrative processes relating to models and changes in competences. Any questions have been asked previously about the training master again? Any questions?
It was one I alluded to earlier, which is the listener, I hope you're able to answer me. How many in-house training events have there been in the last year since the peer review indicated that councillors needed desperately to upskill themselves?